All right. I believe we are live here. This is the first live on YouTube, so please excuse me if I fumble around this a little bit using OBS. I'm drinking coffee first thing in the morning. It's all new to me. So anybody joining us here, if you would just kind of deal with me a little bit as we get through this. If you have any issues or comments or anything like that, throw it in the chat. I'll be happy to address them. But I did want to give a Bitcoin, BTC crypto kind of overview of the markets today. Here it is Friday, the 25th of June, and we're coming up on market close for the end of the week, and taking a look at Bitcoin here and where we could potentially go from here. I am going to do this on TradingView as well. Probably going to stream it over there. Been some issues with streaming both at once, but we'll probably try to do this on their platform as well. Okay, so what we got going on here, and what I've been talking about for the past couple weeks is, this key level that clearly we've retested again in the past few days over the course of this week. Let's go ahead and check out the week. And you can see that we had another wick down here, retested and pulled back up, right? So my concern here is, that we do see these wicks down, pop back up, wicks down, pop back up, wicks down, pop back up. And so that does indicate that we are seeing, some buying going on at these levels. Okay, but what I'm really curious about here, and I'm gonna have to tighten this up a little bit, is the area that we're in on our RSI here, right? So we've got this area right here, and I've made this indicator. It's very simple. All it does is it overlays the Fibonacci retracement levels onto the RSI, and I utilize these levels frequently in my analysis, right? Excuse me. So anything below 50 I consider to be pretty bearish, right? Anything below the 382 and 236 is even more bearish. And anything below the 236, down to 0 is incredibly bearish, right? And so when we're taking a look at these levels and how I utilize them, a break of a 618 is always significant. A break of the 786 is always significant. And any movement in this area up here, you generally see let me get this out of here. Very parabolic moves up, right? And you can clearly see how we came up here. Even if as we were creating or having this divergence and going down, we were making higher highs here until we broke our 50 on our RSI, and then we moved below some area of support. And you see this over and over and over again in the charts. So this is this area that we're currently in is actually pretty significant. Okay, this area that we are in right now is fairly significant. So where are we going to go? What could potentially happen? All right, we've got about 2 more days until the close of the week for Bitcoin, and there's a lot of anticipation, and I guess we keep seeing that the crypto market moves over the weekends. At least this has been something that I've noticed. The weekend's my time, right? And we're pushing against this support here, okay? And so we're hearing, you just Google Bitcoin on YouTube, or Google Bitcoin, right? Look for Bitcoin on YouTube, and you'll get every kind of analysis. We're going up from here. We're going down to 0 from here. I've seen anywhere from 1,000 to 30,000, right? As far as areas where we can potentially hit, and I suppose in theory both are correct given enough time. But what I'm looking for and what I'm kind of anticipating is further downside, right? And I'll kind of explain as to why. So on the weekly, things that we need to look out for, right? We're looking out for a cross of this 382 on our RSI. Okay, that's the first thing I'm really looking for, right? Because every time that we see a cross of a 382, right here, right here, right? We go a little bit further back, right here. Okay, it's kind of hard to tell. I'll just throw this on a log chart to better illustrate this. But these crosses are always significant, right? We had this dump here, right? We had this dump here. And if we push and break this 382, then there's a pretty good chance that we're going to see another dump, okay? And we'll measure that out here shortly. If we see that, and currently we're seeing on our directional index, right, across here, which is a bearish indication on the weekly, right? And then we see the potential for a MACD cross on our 0 line. Okay, so all of these things are setting up to be, to have a very bearish event. Okay, now that's not necessarily to say that it's set in stone that it's going to happen clearly, but if these things do come to fruition, if price is driven down lower, and we see this, whether it's the algos taking over, whether it's the technical analysts dumping their positions, whether it's just stops on longs getting blasted through, there's a pretty good chance that we're going to push lower. Okay, and so I'm going to take this down to a 4-day chart here, and this is a little bit where my uncertainty comes in, and we'll work this down, but I'll show you ultimately why my bias is still to the downside, right? So we can see we broke this 3.8, and this just further illustrates the level of this 382 right here. As we did break below it, you can see we had this massive sell-off candle here. Okay, now we got another 4 hours until the close of this 4-day candle that we're currently working at here, this doji, right? And so doji, of course, is kind of it's indecision, right? There's no clear direction for it. And then, we have, maybe you could consider this a little bit of a divergence. I would say this is more, we're seeing confluence here. We just have all these wicks down, right? But that said, our RSI is in a bearish zone, right? Our MACD is in a bearish zone, and our ADX, but our DI, or directional index, is actually bearish as well. So all these things considered, this 4-day looks to show us that we're going to see some more bearish movement. Now let's take this to a 2-day, and this is what well, I'm not sure if this is going to happen in the next few days or in the next week, but still my bias is to the downside, right? We have this trend here. Okay, and that was very shystily drawn. Let me go ahead and actually draw a trend line here. Right here, okay? And if you want to draw this, actually, we could do this as a triangle, right? Something like this, where we're finding support in this region, and we're pushing up against this trend as well, okay? But, again, what I'm looking at here is the fact that we are still in this very bearish zone. However, now we can start to see this divergence playing out a little bit, right, on a lower time frame, okay? And that gives us an indication that we could potentially see another push up, right? And that, maybe 10% or so, another push up in the next, couple days, going toward the end of the week, possibly, right? The thing is, and I can show multiple examples of this as well, when this, you get kind of this pattern, right like this, okay? And then it diverges where we make lower lows on our price action. And then what happens is it'll push up and it'll retest 50 again, and it'll come down. It'll just slightly break the 382 potentially, maybe go a little bit lower, but start to see this divergence like this. And that second dump, right, in what could be considered an ABC correction, right, generally tends to be lower, make lower lows here, right? And then at some point, we start to see confluence, and it'll break above 50, and then we'll see confluence in our indicator and our our indicator and our price action appear, right? And that is kind of the signal that I'm looking for to show that we are no longer in kind of this bearish move down, right? And so this is on a 2-day chart. We'll take this to a 1-day and kind of get a short-term view of what we may be seeing in the next few days to a week. And so looking at this here, again, we're seeing this divergence, right? We're seeing clearly there's a divergence opening up here, or showing here on all of the indicators, really, our MACD as well. And this could be it, right? Like we could see this push back up above 50, right? And, you know, this have a breakout and then a retest of this trend to the top side and then start a wave 3, something like that, okay? That's totally a possibility, okay? But until we get confirmation of that, and just based on what I'm seeing right now and the fact that we're about to close this day with what looks to be a push down below this 382, again, this level being significant, and we've proven this at this point. If we push below this 382, right, which would correspond likely with a break of this 32, maybe the 30,000, then in this range, again, we have these massive sell-offs, right? Sell-off here, we got a little chunk right here. So how low can it go, right? That's always the question. How low can you go, right? I'll spare you the singing, but let's go ahead and we can measure this out for potential areas of support and resistance using our Fibonacci trend-based extension, all right? So I'm going with a high, low, high, like this. And the reason that I'm utilizing these levels versus this high up here is because these levels here, I believe, to be very important in that this was the last level above 50 before it broke below it, okay? This is our low, right here. And then this is the last time that we retested 50, okay? So if I'm looking for a trend, we see that this area is our bearish, you know, trending area where we crossed below here, and now we've been, you know, in a bearish move to the downside. So I want to know, you know, this is where I would consider this trend to be starting, right? So I've measured these 3 levels, and you can see that it's been pretty well respected. The 236 has been respected. We came up and tested it and was rejected there. The 50% retracement level was respected. So areas of target, you know, as we potentially move down, if we see a break of 30 and specifically a solid close on the weekly below 30,000, okay, then the areas that we're looking for support on the way down are these here, okay? First area support, 29, 30,000. Clearly, that's been, you know, an area of support, you know, for a while now, right? It was area of resistance for some time. Below that, 26,000. And then there's this 23, you know, roughly 24,000 right here. Okay, you can see how these areas are also lining up with these over here, right? And again, this is based on this trend here, this high here, this low here, this high here, right? And so, you know, these areas that we're identifying are clearly significant, right? You know, even this guy right here, over here, right? You can see that these are areas where we had a little bit of consolidation as we moved up, right? So we would anticipate seeing potentially some distribution as we move down. So on this daily, and again, we're pushing closer to this on this 382 break, possibly. You know, every time we break it, we get these little dumps. And the severity of it, well, we'll see. Currently, we're showing on our ADX here a pretty strong, you know, we're looking at about 40 negative directional index or bearish trend, right? So that said, if we do find support here, we bounce up and we, you know, hit this 236 and are rejected again, and then that corresponds with something like this, you know, pushing up to 50, and then a break low like that, okay? I would anticipate seeing these levels come in. Now, a serious dump, if we start to see possibly, a lot of accounts getting just absolutely liquidated across the board, if we start to see a lot of, fear, just people selling off, a lot of, new hands in here. Sorry, I need some coffee. Then I certainly think this 100% retracement mark around here at 20,000 is not far-fetched at all, right? Where's my line? There we go. So right down here is 20. I would take this actually down to 20,000. And so these levels, I'm certain I'm not the only person looking at these levels. This isn't magic or anything like this. This is fairly straightforward analysis. But I will say that at least my reason and my bias for this going down is pretty simple. And that's that every indicator that I'm looking at is in a bearish zone, right? And so till we have confirmation that we are out of this bearish zone, my bias will be to the downside. No, I could certainly project, our upside and where we could see if we break out of here. But until I see some sort of confirmation that that's the direction that we're going, I don't think that I'm looking to the upside quite yet. I'm just looking for buying opportunities, areas for me to buy in, get more, snatch all this up, stay out of altcoins, and potentially maybe make some scalps and on some shorts. But all of that said, if this plays out the way that it potentially could, and we do see a break, and specifically a weekly close below 30,000, I think will be very telling, right? As far as our potential to move down in the coming month or so. Then these are the levels that I'll certainly be looking at, and as we touch these levels, if we go down, I will be continuing to stream this information and kind of what I'm seeing, and potential areas where we could reverse and move back up. But for the time being, this is what I'm looking at. This is our potential. If we were looking to break out, and what does confirmation look like to the upside, right? A confirmation to the upside looks like a move up, kind of up like this, maybe a retest of 40, pull back to maybe 37, certainly to 35, to be retested there, right? And this may be what we're seeing here, right? This 1, 2, and then a 3 up, down 4 to 35, and then a fifth wave pushing up and breaking above here, or we may just move sideways in this range for a little while longer. But that's not where we're at right now, right? My immediate purview is that we're pushing against this 382 on our RSI on the daily close. This is pretty bearish right here. This is bearish here, and the simple fact that we keep testing this on the downside, and this looks to be to me on a weekly more of an ABC kind of correction. Now this could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And then we could see another leg up, but that tends to not be I don't necessarily think that we're done here with this push down. Okay, so again, we'll see. Time can tell. I don't have a magic crystal ball. I can't tell the future. My bias is to the downside. The trades that I take are all if I'm in anything long, my risk associated with those trades will be accordingly and low. Just because my anticipation is that we're going to see this go lower. So areas to potentially buy right in here. Areas to look for support, again, listed right over here. And we will see how this plays out in the immediate to near future. So everybody take care out there. Trade safe, and we'll get some updates as they come along. I'll probably do this again on Sunday just before the close of the week. So thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you later.